こんばんは。
こんばんは。こんばんは。こんばんは。よし。タクシー船、宇宙船がタクシー。
Hello, all you Martians out there. It's your turn, fixed foot soul.
あ、本当にゴルフなんだこのゲーム。
You're tuned to radio nostalgia from Mars. Breathe easy, kick back, and reminisce.
ビジュアルで興味を持って買ったゲームですね。あ。本当にゴルフだ。ここにどういう風にストーリー性が、あ、飛びすぎた。どういう風にストーリー性が絡んでくるのか。強弱わかんねえ。基本転がしてった方がいいんかな。まあスコアとかはないんだろうし。弱っ。放射能。どういうこと？やべ、強弱はわかんねえな。強すぎる。まあ、下り坂だしな。お、入った。パーとかあんの？ウォーターハザードもあるのか。これ 1打で超えれるのかな。イエス。まあ基本横がないから転がせば入る感じかな。これが昆虫みたいな。あ、こっからなるほど。とりあえずストーリーからやべ、飛びすぎた。今んとこストーリー性がよくわかんないんだけど。音楽はかっこいいな。個人認識って何？ やべ。細かいとこわかんないな。
Radio nostalgia from Mars. Wow, what a way to start the show. Anna Chochin would take my hand, her sublime take on our wonderful project called Humanity. Beautiful. Plenty more to come to Soul Show,
TJ だ。
a show packed with stories and music to remind ourselves of where we are and how
やべ、こ
far
れ
we've come.
強弱には慣れるしかないな。ギャー
Our
ス
first caller for the show calls it like it is and was a hard-hitting look back at the last days on Earth from the perspective of a shrewd businessman and loving father. Stories,
これあれか。
memories, the good old
バンカーってことか。
original sources, authentic tales, hope, inspiration, drama.
やべ、近寄りすぎた。
I worked in oil, brokering gasoline to be exact. It's a strange business, probably not like you would actually imagine it to be. My day started something like this. I check Reuters and my sheets.
むずっ。
See if there's been a change in the fundamentals. See if the spread's up or down. And then when the clock strikes go, I'm on the phone. I could be calling some commercial shop in Bumble, Kansas, where little old Sue loves to know how my daughter's doing. Or I could be trying to get into the head of a powerful Russian who knows the world wants his phone number. That's when the psychology kicks in, and I go to work. If they pick up the phone, they're mine. That's the game.
むずいな。思ったよ
I
りむず
started
い。
when I was 29,
ちょっ
30.
と待って。
My boss was a coked up, perma-tanned moron who was wasted by lunch. More money than sense. Screaming at waiters because,
スキップ。
you don't drink gin out of a glass like that. And Caesar salad is supposed to have 8 pieces. 8 pieces of chicken, you stunted fool. Stunted fool was his favorite insult. That's coming from a guy who was 5 foot and nothing. That was pretty much
な
my
るほ
life,
ど。
24/7. I traveled a lot. Meeting clients all
い
over
や、
the
いまい
world.
ちこの何の楽しさ
The
がわからん
Amazon,。the Gulf, Siberia, Central Asia, the States, Singapore, everywhere. Looking back, I can't claim that I ever
あれ、こ
would
れ上
recommend
越えなきゃいけ
that
ないパ
life,
ターンかな。い
nor can I claim that I was ever really happy doing it.
や、意外に。
But it was fun. I mean, talk about your share of moments.
ここ割れんじゃ
It
ねえ
was
かなと思うんだけど。
some strange mix of
やっぱり。
Algiers and Paris, with some sprinkle of Havana, a dancer,
届かない。
so pretty. She'd turn a priest's head or give a nun a
あれ、全然ストーリー性が。
But we all had the same feeling. This can't last.
見えてこない。
And sure enough, we were right. First, you couldn't drink the water. Then you couldn't eat the crops. And pretty soon, we wouldn't be able to breathe the air.
これで
I remember
放
looking
射
at Emmy
線
and
は
wondering what kind of a future would she have. So I decided to do something about it. The Mars project was Plan B for planet Earth, which was most evidently.
地球に住めなくなった時のた
The
め
family
の
and I had already put down roots in Tesla City by the time the great catastrophe really hit. The corporation knew my contacts in the world of drilling and refining would be useful, so I adapted my skills to something more practical. Now we are all that keeps this little planet running.
小さな惑星を稼働させ、
Mining those Martian chemicals for the battery banks, Martian cement for the buildings.
火星で発掘しています。
My pure little Emma has a future.
はあ。
When somebody sits down and writes this all up for the history books, it might just be men like me they'll be
ピ
hailing
ン
as
こっ
heroes.
ちでしょう。
It's men like me who saved humanity.
なん
Men
か
like
こっ
me
ち
who
帯
took it
臭く
further
ね。
than we ever dreamt possible.
Radio nostalgia from Mars.
Oh,
Some pretty
oh,
heavy
oh.
stuff. Reminds us that all times made it up here to
大丈夫、
Mars,
よくあるさ。
but we're all in it together now. And remain creatures of the world. You're a tight beam to Radio
Obi, eh?
Nostalgia from Mars. Music for the lost days of Earth.
Every morning I like to look at the sky. I whisper a word or two, and it glows right back at you. The smell of coffee and of bread, the news is sad.
オーバーすると悔しがるね。もの自体は単純なものだけど、ちょっと慣れてきたかな。やべ、寄せすぎた。ちょっと待って、これウォーターハザードのパターン。そうだよね、多分きっと。やべ、飛びすぎた。くそ。これ上に当たるかな。ですよね。とはいえ腹立つわこいつロブショットの天才やろ。あいたち乗らない。スキップが利用可能。あー腹立つ。弱っ弱っ
Creatures of the world. Now that attracted takes us back.
弱っ
Stefan Milenkovic, pining for blue skies, us musing on the games we play.
なんだ叩いてんね。
Until further notice, there is a moratorium on all team leaders playing card and board games with their teams, following an incident over a game of Monopoly in Section C.
あ、でもストーリーが全然入ってこない。
Section team
あん
leaders
のこれストーリー。
emergency counseling and anger management courses. Until then, there'll be no intersectional board game tournaments and no games with groups larger than 4 people at a time per team. In the interim, teams are encouraged to take advantage of the half-ration special on OMAS, a delicious and relaxing drink that takes the edge off of everything. Our next caller, Yamil, takes us into her world of food, smells, sensuality, blue skies, and sings us a personal song to remember.
Histoire, mémoire, le bon vieux temps,
やべ、転がりすぎた。
original, fable authentique, espoir, inspiration, drame, musique, radio nostalgie de Mars.
I have nightmares. I'm happy to be alive, but I knew many who deserved to live more than I did. But this is a radio program about nostalgia, not guilt. I've been nostalgic since I was 20.
数年前
when I
天候
left
に恵ま
Havana.
れず
In Europe, I felt different. Each country has a smell.
なんかすごい全体的には地味な
Where I
ゲー
come
ム
from, the smell of the ocean, mango, bananas, coconut, mama's food, ropa vieja, de la abuelita, el con gris, la yuca con mojito.
あれバンカーやな
The most beautiful sun on Malecon. The smell
バ
of
ンカー
my
はこれ
street when
けど
the
超えす
rain
ぎた
falls. All of that make me into the person I am. So when I left, I grew stronger.
しまった
I experienced the world, but forever stayed incomplete. So now I'm double nostalgic. We were full of life, laughing on warm nights under blue sky, touching each other. The air filled with the smell of sweat from dancing with a orchestra Aragon playing from an apartment. Now, the only way I can feel this scent is by singing.
うこの強弱がわからん
¿Cómo fue? No sé decirte. ¿Cómo
何度オーバーしとんねん
No sé explicarme qué pasó. Pero de ti me enamoré.
なんか強弱激しくね気のせい
Fue una luz que iluminó
い
todo
や
mi
音楽はすげ
ser.
え好みだな
Tu risa como manantial.
本当にゴルフゲー
Llenó
ム
mi
だったな
vida de inquietud.
本当にゴルフゲーム
Fueron tus ojos o tu boca. Fueron tus manos
banca,
o
no,
tu
no.
voz. Fue lo mejor, la impaciencia de tanto esperar tu llegada, mas no sé decirte cómo fue. No sé explicarme qué pasó, pero de ti me enamoré.
Слушайте радио Носталгия sa Marsa.
Thank you, Yamil. What a wonderful story. Reminds us that life is about so much more than just base survival.
なんだろうラジオ聞きながらゴルフするゲーム
Well, living in space has always been challenging. And here's a song that pokes a little fun at living in cramped quarters. Needs no introduction. Argue all you want. It's a classic.
これは
Take
上
a
飲んの
moment,
かな
relax, and remember, with radio nostalgia from Mars.
届かないそしてゴミ箱に入った見えないどこ行った行き過ぎた入っちゃえ入られてよいしょ限られた特権階級の人たちは火星へ逃げた
They speak in two tongues, but still 4 hours they talk. The same oxygen in their lungs, the same
しまった。あれこれ上越えるんじゃねえ。あれ越えられない？あ、越えられた。やべ、飛びすぎたんじゃねこれ。やはりそこオーターなの？マジか。あれもしかしてこれ越えられない？おうほう。刻んでいくしかないのか。それもダメ。弱い。スーパーサムとすぐスキップが利用可能ですって言ってくるんですけど。おーい。よっしゃ。マジでトイレに入れるってことね。単純だけど奥深いっていうのか。これ穴に入るんじゃね？そういうことか。よっ、そこに入れたい。はいで。ナイスイン。
Anna Churchinder and arguably the first interplanetary hit, Two Astronauts, an anthem to the Great Evacuation, and certainly one of our most popular requests. Speaking of requests, please follow Habitat protocols for sanitation. No liquids other than bodily in the main bin, including pee. Some of you don't like it, but all water is recycled, so pee into the funnel installed next to your toilet, please. Speaking of pee and poop, we recently welcomed our first official little Martian to the colony, and our next caller, Sophia, tells us what it's like to be a new mother on Mars.
I'm so happy we moved to Mars. It was a project I funded from the very beginning. I knew it had potential and I trusted the amazing team working on it. As angel investors, my husband and I got early placements in the ARC ship. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to further human survival in our solar system. Speaking of the human project, I have some exciting news. Just a week ago, we welcomed our baby boy into the world. Words cannot express how overjoyed we are at welcoming little Maxim. Putting him to bed reminds me of my parents. From our window here in Tesla City, we can see the Earth, tiny enough to fit in Maxim's hand. It pains me that my child might never experience the beauty of my home in the Hamptons. The nature, coastline, the old lighthouse, and the food, the houses of our friends, and evening parties, full of life compared to this barren, rugged terrain. I sent my little Martian to sleep with a lullaby my mother sang for me. Thanks to these songs, I'm able to retain at least on a rudimentary level my mother tongue. She sang like this.
バスケットのフープが気になるんよね。
Niebieski spodoba, noce ticho spuszczana gra. Za niebieski spodoba.
We can't push so much.
Thank you, Sophia, for that uplifting news and beautiful song. Life always finds a way.
俺は素直に
Just
こ
as
ういう時し
precious
かな
as
い
a new life is the water that sustains it. You may have noticed that it doesn't rain here on Mars, so another friendly
なんか入っ
reminder
た
that showers are strictly limited to
ええ
30 seconds each, with no exceptions.
マジか
Corporate is looking into extending this time frame, but is meeting
これは
resistance from Section BC who want lab rat
上に
urine
行
to
か
be
なきゃいけない
excluded
か
from
な
the water recycling program, which would actually reduce allocated
止ま
shower
って
times to 27 seconds. Want to say in this? Join our sectional weekly meetings and vote while sipping on a relaxing tube of OMAS. Feels good
マジですか
as it should.
Radio nostalgia from Mars.
これは行ったり来たり
High speed on the autobahn, like spaceship buzz around the sun. A diver's breath in the
やべえのよ
bubbles like your thoughts of me.
やべえのよまだスキップおすすめされちゃう
Like an airplane on a runaway. Melts like ice cream in the
やべえこれ
sun.
イライラしてくる
Doesn't fool anyone.
思ったより難易度高え
Like a desperate man taking his chance. Quick as you said your first dance. Keep your eyes open and don't you blink. You'll miss the boat
ロブショット
before it sinks. Life passes quickly, life bursts like a bomb. Like a child in the morning, you'll soon be gone. So hold it close and don't waste your breath. The time will come when nothing
あれ
is left.
どこ行った
Life passes quickly. It flies by.
クソクソああイライラするああマジかよ
High speed on the autobahn.
なんだ叩かせんだよ
Spaceship goes around the sun. Like a tiger's breath in the blue sea. Passes like your thoughts of me.
力加減がいまいちわかんね
Six on summer's day. Like an airplane on a runaway. Melts like ice cream in the sun. Doesn't fool anyone. Like a desperate man taking his chance. Quick as he said your first dance.
あれかなバウンドも利用すべきなのかなああれなんか変なとこ通ったぞ
Before it sinks, life passes quickly, life bursts like a bomb. Like a child in the morning, it will soon be gone. So hold it close.
よしやっと先が見えた先が見えたか
Nothing is left because life passes quickly. It flies by.
You're home away from home. Radio nostalgia from Mars.
Life passes quickly indeed. Another blast from the past, reminding us to savor each moment as it flies by. Speaking of savoring things, the Health and Wellbeing Department would like us to remind you that the popping and fizzing noise your dried food makes when you're adding water is perfectly normal and does not mean it has gone off or is contaminated. The Health and Wellbeing Department would also like to take this moment to remind you to take your bone density pills twice a week now, as it was discovered the original dose is off by a factor of 2. Right, on with the show. Music and dancing have always been a mainstay of stress relief and
入らないのかよ。
Our next caller, Merva, recalls her teenage clubbing days, vivid memories of awkward first kisses, and a life-altering club experience.
長かっ
A
た。
philosophical.
Stories, memories, the good old days, original sources, authentic tales, hope, inspiration, drama, radio nostalgia from Mars.
自撮り棒は持ってないけどな。
So, when I was a kid in
これは
Vienna, in high school we used to learn all the German poets, like Best Friends, Goethe and Schiller.
これはどういうこっちゃ。
First poet
パズル
that
要素だね。
actually spoke to me was Heinrich Heine. I knew a couple of Heine's poems by heart that are now buried somewhere deep in my mind.
これ何が
One
正解？
passage about burning books stuck with me. Yes, even till
上は行かないし。
So, just to fast forward to college, just a couple of
とりあえ
years
ず入れて
before
み
the
る。
Great Catastrophe,
あ、入らんかっ
I
た。
was walking around Berlin with a group of friends coming from a house party. Phew, I still remember that apartment smelling of potatoes.
え、
Yes,
そうなる
because
の？
we always made hummus and drank schnapps before heading out. Yeah.
本人の移動に時間かかっとるやんけ。
And after that, I remember passing by Alexanderplatz on that very, very hot
これ
night.
ピンどこだピン。
And next to me was a guy I liked. We kissed before, but
そこか。
I can't say I really remember that. Probably from all the drinking, or maybe he was just a bad kisser. But I can still feel this sticky, sweaty, and very ambivalent feeling of us holding hands. Yeah, anyways, we popped some pills and entered our techno church that, well,
あれ
now
ボタンっ
when I
ぽいの
think
あれ気に
back,
な
I
る。あれ
visited
ボタン
more
じゃねえのか
often
な。
than my college. And I remember the beat in my
あ、
chest
通り過
and
ぎした。
all these young bodies moving in this industrial space. I used to love dancing and counting beats in techno songs, but one song was very strange. It just went
あれボタンじゃねえのかな。
repetition, repetition, and then this female vocal would creep out of nowhere. And then suddenly I felt very dizzy, so I sat on the ground and held my knees closely to my chest. It was some sort of like, like protective instinct. I was like an animal. And I felt cold sweat dripping down my neck. Ugh. And I'm sure my guy thought I was completely
やっ
crazy.
ぱりボタンやっ
And
た。
then out of nowhere, the Heine lines
ここ
clearly
に
came to me.
入れる
I
と
sat there
なんか起きる。
motionless, surrounded by the ugly, hypnotic, delirious atmosphere. And no
え？
effort to
どういう
recall
こと？
Heine's lines. They were just there, planted in my
やべ
head.
え。
Wilde, düstere Zeiten dröhnen heran und der Prophet, der eine neue Apokalypse schreiben wollte, musste ganz neue Bestien erfinden.
止まって。あ、ブラブラブラブラブ
So
ラ。
erschreckliche, dass die älteren johannischen Tiersymbole dagegen nur sanfte Täubchen und Amoretten wären. Die Götter verhüllen ihr Antlitz aus Mitleid mit den Menschenkindern, ihren langjährigen Pfleglingen und vielleicht zugleich auch aus Besorgnis über das eigene Schicksal. And 2 years later, I ended up here, on Mars.
It does bring back memories of university days and sweaty club nights. Earthly hedonism at its finest.
なかなか難しいなこのゲーム。
Corporate does not endorse or advocate the use of psychedelic drugs and reminds you, dear listeners, that Class A drugs are just as illegal
パズル
here
要
on
素が
Mars as
強い。
they were on Earth.
ウェイ
Okay,
ストランド
disclaimer out of the way, we actually have a surprise for Mirva. We tracked down that weird song in her head and dug it out of the archives for all to hear. Grab a tube of OMAS and enjoy the ride while sipping on pure calm.
The deepest tunes, the warmest
これあ
memories.
れ
Radio nostalgia from Mars.
上を通っていくしかないパターン。全部水だよな。水。声ちったー。強弱がむずっ。跳ねたよ。めっちゃ跳ねた。そこ止まんねえな。ギャッ。なかなかイライラさせてくるゲームやなこれ。マジか。音楽はかっこいいね。ゲーム自体がだいぶハードなんよ。これこっから上に行けんのかな。あんま深く考えてなかったけど。でもこっちウォーターハザードだしな。むしろ横に吹っ飛ぶべきなのかな。腹立つ。このコースの正解はおちゃん。スキップ利用可能言われてもよ。 諦めたくないやん。
You're listening to Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Well, what can I say? No wonder that song got into her head. But with a little help from some friends, she pulled through. Another thing that can get into your head is living conditions here on Mars. Life up here on Mars can get a bit overwhelming at times, so along with the soothing OMAS drink, no stress, no fuss, it bears mentioning that wellness counseling is mandatory for all team members, regardless of rank or tenure.
ここから右に思いっきり行ったら届くんじゃないですか。よいしょ、進んだ。進んだけど。あれはウォーターハザードコースだ。
Time for another story. Our last caller for Tussol's show is Francesco, who tells a haunting tale of his last days on Earth as the great catastrophe kicked into high gear.
Stories, memories, the good old days, original sources, authentic tales, hope, inspiration, drama, radio nostalgia from Mars.
It was an extremely humid summer. My parents would not let me out because of the floods in Italy. My father went outside and was working in the greenhouse on the vineyard, and my mother was a doctor.
本来はもっと上から打つべきなのかな。
Fairy tales to me. I was very small, but I remember many days when our neighbors would gather at our house and make plans. It rained heavily at night. They would only say to me, "Powerful people want to take my great-great-grandfather's land."
進んでるよ。
One image stuck in my memory. It was daybreak. I woke up and I could faintly hear in the dark. Oh, Gorizia, tu sei maledetta. Only later I understood the history behind this song. Outside I saw men and women, my father and mother, rifles in their hands. My father was crying and singing. I was at the door of the house.
1枚入らない。
My mother turned.
どんだけかかったこのコースに。
But it was a mysterious, confident smile.
ふぅ。やっといい。
Raccomando ai compagni vicini di tenermi da conto i bambini che io muoio col suo nome nel cuore.
なんか今動物いたよね。
Of course, I had no idea where they were buried.
なんかボール取られるとかそういうパターンじゃねえだろうな。 ちょっと試してみたくなった。やっぱ取られた。
Years later, the Mars mission. In a way, the people who killed my parents found me in Italy and recruited me. Saved me, you can say. It is ironic now. My parents fought for freedom. I cannot say I'm free here on Mars. They took my semen this morning for the population increase program.
え、落ち葉もダメな。
Here, on Mars, often in the middle of the night, I hear my parents sing. Oh, Gorizia,
渋い声で歌ってるな。
Per ogni cuore che sente coscienza dolorosa
Già.
Oh,
入れてくれたの
e il ritorno per molti non fu.
なんかいろいろ細かい結果あるな。
Gorizia, tu sei maledetta.
なんかこの動く物体がいる。
Ogni cuore che
ピンが動いてるぞ。
coscienza dolorosa ci fu la partenza.
歌詞がわかんないから歌えないね。
E il ritorno per molti
フォローの風が吹いてますけど、これは風に乗るってことかな。
Radio nostalgia from Mars.
火星ラジオノスタルジア。別に風に乗ってる感じはしへんかったけど。全然届かない。強弱が本当わからん。あそこ跳ね返るの？待って。ちょっと待って。ちょっとずつ前に行って。ガーン。よし。あ、そこは風に乗るんや。そこは風に乗れ。ナイス。ちょっと待って、これはさすがに難しすぎね。鳥さん？鳥さん？超自然派ゴルフじゃん。どうせならピンまで持ってってよ。あれ？あれ？これまた届かねえパターンじゃねえ？あ、行き過ぎた。 寄せて、ここ、いや、入れよ。入っとけよ、今のは。パターの強弱がわからねえ。なんか気づいたら1時間ぐらい経ってる。またボタン系か。これは穴に入れるとどうなる系？入れなきゃいけない系？超えねえし。いい。どういうこと？緩めに入れると止まる？
The deepest tunes, the warmest memories. Radio nostalgia from Mars.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show. It's been a real journey. Music, stories, and memories. Radio Nostalgia from Mars has it all. If you want to be involved with the FM, have a story to tell, a memory to share, contact us via the usual internet channels and leave a short message outlining your contribution. Once your story idea is vetted and greenlit by corporate, we'll track you down to organize a time to record you. Please note that not all stories are accepted, and we are not permitted to give out criteria, so stories and ideas are submitted at your own risk.
無理でした。
A big thank you to our show sponsor, OMAS, the no stress, no fuss drink for the ultra elite. And a big thank you to corporate for allocating us this precious time and their resources on this tight beam to you. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's been a pleasure to take your hand. We're playing out with Crowded in My Mind, a song that always reminds us that no matter how cramped and stuffy we feel, in the end, there's always a breath of fresh air in memories of blue skies.
Muzika iz starih dobrih dana. Radio Nostalgia Samasa.
超えられねえのか。わお。やべ、飛ばしすぎた。落ち葉ハザードが意外に厄介だよね。あのスタートがすげえ気になるんだけど。飛びすぎた。弱すぎた。 めっちゃ跳ねるな。なんかこれめっちゃ伸びない？床のせいなんかな。スタートが気になるんだけど。そういうこと？お？どういうこと？あ、落ち葉が燃えた。そういうことか。イエーイ。下行っちゃった。これはもうノンストップ。これ上に行くべきなのかな。上で合ってる？ここ通れる？あれ？あれ？これは通れないパターン。あ、割れた。角度の問題かな。回数の問題か角度の問題か。
Please stand by for next transmission. Please stand by for next transmission in 30 seconds. Please stand by for next transmission in 20 seconds.
これ多分届かねえな。
In 15 seconds. In 10 seconds. In 5 seconds.
これでも届かねえかな。
1 second.
Yate, all you Martians out there, welcome to another edition of Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Ugh.
plenty of great stuff coming your way onto Soul Show. You know, a bit of that old Terran flavor.
今のは入っておいて
Some
ほ
more
しかっ
stories from
た。
our beloved callers, and news and views from around our base out here among the
OK ください、
stars.
OK ください。何？どうした？
Your home away from home. Radio nostalgia from Mars.
Now, as much as we appreciate our regular callers, there is one person we would
どうした？
really love to
なん
hear
か急に
from.
進まなくなった。
A man many of us owe our lives to. Our national hero, the Mars mission pilot, who brought us here safely so many years ago. Believe it or not, he finally made it back to Earth. After all these years, his dream finally came true. As we all know, he's had a very difficult time adapting to life here on Mars. We all have, just not in the public eye like him. So Charlie, this is Radio Nostalgia from Mars, personally reaching out to you. Charlie, we'd really appreciate it if you took some time to share a bit of the atmosphere from Earth with us. I'm sure many of our listeners are eager to hear your thoughts on being back. Just speak into the mic in your helmet. A few recorded words. Anything.
Well, it's worth a shot. I know he's the biggest fan of Radio Nostalgia from Mars, and he's probably listening now from the rooftop somewhere in Alphaville. So stay tuned to see if he responds. But to be honest, I don't think we'll be hearing from him anytime soon, sadly. Oh well, who can blame him? Let's not spoil his moment any longer. Continue our own trip down memory lane.
Like I said, your tight beam to Radio Nostalgia from Mars. Breathe easy, kick back, and reminisce.
地球で生き残ってる人らがいるってことなのか。わからん。何回だ。まあでもストーリーだけ楽しめるようにスキップできるようになってんだろうけど。ちょっと待ってよ。何この難しいの。多分上には上がれない。ああ。飛びすぎた。めっちゃ跳ねる。ここから上には行けねえよな。あ、行けた。弱い。イエーイ。届け。 あれなんかあそこにパイプあるけど、実はどっかにパイプコースがある。あ、これ下のやつ、これか。どうやって入れるんだと。ああ、なるほど。そういうことね。あ、か。何言ってるかわかんないけど。そう、主人公は火星任務のパイロットでしたってことですね、設定でしょ。
The show with the club classic Proto 2021. A
2021
long-lost birthday anthem recently discovered in the archives here on Mars. That should take most of us back to the days when Mars was nothing but an evening star in the sky and
ドアが開いたりしまったりしとらんけ。
and carefree. Speaking of carefree, look out for 3 new OMAS flavors: pink, green, and yellow. Pure calm.
あほう、大きな声出てしまった。
Right, moving on. As always, we've collected some stories from our beloved callers. And up first is a young man who might just be the luckiest one of us all.
События, воспоминания, старые добрые времена, оригинальные источники, подлинные истории, надежда, вдохновение, драма, радионостальгия с Марса.
I nearly missed the boat to Mars. I mean, the rumours about something big happening in Alphaville have been floating for a few years, and of course it was impossible to separate fact from fiction. At that time, I barely made it through insurgent territory to this floating ghetto about an hour away from Alphaville by motorboat. I won't go into detail, but the crew I ran with bribed an outpost guard to go have a really long piss, while we used his comms to access their infranet. Their information turned out just as distorted as ours, but we found one channel that changed everything. Some bright spark in Alphaville had made color-coded spreadsheets of shipping data a monkey could understand. Imports into Alphaville were off the charts, while exports had zeroed out completely. I mean, nothing was coming out, even on the black market, which incidentally was fully accounted for, meaning it had to be sanctioned all along. So we knew something was up. Of course Alphaville media spun this situation heavily. The insurgents were blamed for everything, disrupting supply lines, stealing aid and so on. But it was really Alphaville stockpiling on a scale unseen in modern history. What tipped us off that they were planning to leave Earth is what they were stockpiling. Fuel. Specifically, dinitrogen, tetroxide and hydrazine. Old school. But they're chemicals used as rocket fuel. They're easy to store, but they're highly toxic and require careful handling, which explained another gruesome discovery: the covert shipping and dumping of bodies. A lot of bodies. There were so many that some of those bodies had started washing up in our neighborhood. So toxic, even scavengers stayed away. Coincidentally, it suddenly became much easier to get a multi-day work pass into Alphaville. We were so hungry and focused on other resources, we didn't make the connection. We assumed the workers were skipping on the visa. In fact, I was planning to do the exact same thing. So actually, I lucked out. I'm a small guy, and Alphaville was so strapped for labour at that point that I was given an unscreened pass and ended up in heavy labour, moving enormous containers into storage with mechanical suits. But it didn't fit them. So I was just given a scanner instead and told to scan serial numbers all day. It was very hard to breathe, so I traded for a spare hazmat suit from a drunk guard and put it on. Not unusual at all to hang out all day in a hazy. Technically just walking outside required one those days. That's what saved me, twice. Whew. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, but those containers were the rocket fuel. And in no way was it being stored and transported safely. All those guys died, withered to skin and bone. Nasty stuff. Again, it was all hidden in plain sight. Hell, we were all skin and bone at that point. We just assumed everyone was starving. I only got onto one of the last ships up to Mars because I was in a hazmat suit and holding that scanner, which I think had stopped working within the first days of my assignment. I never told anyone. No one ever asked. I guess I was confused with security or something. All I remember is being yelled at, rushed into a shuttle, and then everyone patting me on the back and calling me Scully. The name embedded in the biometrics of the suit. I never saw my crew or the sky again.
Radio nostalgia from Mars. Wow, what amazing luck to be in the right suit at the right time. Just goes to show, dressing appropriately for the job can really go a long way. Speaking of dressing appropriately, here's a Mars fun fact. Despite an average temperature of well below minus 80 degrees centigrade, if you step outside without a suit on, you won't freeze to death, your blood will boil. That's due to the low atmospheric pressure outside. So please maintain your suits properly and follow decontamination protocols strictly at all times when returning from extra habitat activities. No suit, no life, as we say.
Radio nostalgia from
なんだこの銅像みたいな。
Right. How about a 21st century love song remixed for the 22nd? Who's watching who? Espionage or true love? I guess we'll never really be quite sure.
Hmm. 止まりません。よかったよ、ちょっと。くそ、転がりがわからん。止まらない。これでも別にいいか。これ真上行く？あぎゃえあ、顔に当たってんのか。腹立つ。これもしかして届かない？あ、届いた。この強弱がむずい。なんだ急にクラブな雰囲気が出てるけど。 ガラス割るパターンだったかな。急にうるさくなった。これ言っちゃいけないパターン。超えれんかった。わお、戻ってきた。ピンどこだ？あ、そこか。ナイスー。なんか吹き出してる。
You're home away from home. Radio nostalgia from Mars.
これ叩き落とされるパターンかな。
Ah, surveillance love song, an oldie, but a
Oh,
goodie.
oh.
Sophie Jazz reminding us that love remains as complicated as ever, despite our patented matchmaking algorithms and genetic profiling. On the subject of complications, the Mars Time Conglomerate has asked me to mention that even though a Mars sol is 40 minutes longer than a day on Earth, you do not have to manually add 40 minutes to your clocks every sol. We are officially on Mars clock time, so every second.
まあな、循環させるからそこからワイン作るってこと。水からワインっておかしいけど、なんかやばそうな液体が気のせいですか。10、やはり。あ、10。よいしょ。そこ跳ねるんかい。あれ か急に毒々しくなってきたな。上を通るのか。
And devices are 2.7% longer by design.
あれなんだ人？おお、何あいつ、ビビらせるなよ。食われた方がよかった。ああ、服。慣れてきた。なるほど。また気になるボタンがあるよ。これあれかな、ベルトコンベヤ的なのが止まるのかな、もしかして。え？Oh, oh no. 止めなきゃいけない方向でしたか。人は避けるんかい。あ、向きが逆になるの。しまった、越えらんかった。運べカンカン。ほぼ真上や。うん。調整むず。あ、入った。よし。
Just keep time as usual. For all practical purposes, we live a 24-hour day up here, just like we did on Earth.
Слушайте, радио носталгия за Марса.
Okay, on with the show. Well, we've had a few requests for some classical music, and boy do I have a double treat for all you classical and vinyl lovers out there. A genuine record playing off an actual record player on loan from a dedicated RNFM fan. So grab a tube of OMS, sit back and enjoy some chill neoclassical vibes with that warm vinyl sound right here on Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
あ、ここ？いや、ちょっと待ってよ。急に複雑すぎませんかね。これは一体どうしたらよかとですか？どこが最短ですか？なんとなくのことでこっち行けんじゃねえ？いや、勢いつきすぎた。やばいやばいやばいやばい。止まって止まって止まって。よし。これはいけや。
Take a moment.
ちょっと待て。
And remember, with radio nostalgia.
なんで動くねん。ああ、俺ベルトコンベヤーに乗せたい。乗るのかな。 ああおちゃん。え、あそこも落ちんの？ちょっと複雑すぎて頭痛くなってきた。短い。強行突破。あららららら、下行っちゃった。またそこに人っぽいものがいるけど。ラッキー。
Musica e stari d'Oblidana. Radio Nostalgia Samas.
From neoclassical to electronica, we really do have it all here on Radio Nostalgia from Mars. First we heard an original vinyl with music from an unknown composer, lost to time, I'm afraid. All I can say is it's a white label test pressing found in a recycling bin with just the word Aftermath across the label. After that we got the blood pumping with an upbeat tune from Qualited AD and their classic tune Do you love me? Want to keep that blood pumping? Remember, exercise is mandatory. No groans, no
そうなるよね。
And mental exercise is just as important, so get on down to your local rec center for a dose of mentally stimulating team activities and some delicious OMAS. Okay,
紫色の液
on to
体
our
は大
next
丈夫だ。
caller for the show. Money reminds us that one person's pleasure is another person's pain, and that we might not all relax in the same way to the same things.
Radio data from Mars.
I'd go back in a heartbeat. Tesla City is unbearable. As far as I'm concerned, this promised land is anything but a dictatorship without oxygen. All these daily routines and protocols about everything we took for granted on Earth are so exhausting. Is it safe to take off your hazmat to breathe? Is the water distilled from all our urine really safe? And exactly what behavior will trigger a social credit demotion?
飛びすぎた。
Not to mention, every sneeze is suspect. The whole dome has to be sanitized if someone even sniffles. You'd think we figured it out during the pandemics. I know social distancing up here is impossible, but how freaking difficult is it to keep your hands clean and just not sneeze on stuff? Anyway, maybe that's humanity in a nutshell. After all, we walk on the moon before really learning to walk on Earth. I digress. I just want to say that the effort put into maintaining basic life functions in this state-of-the-art society outweighs the benefit of life. Use your head, can't you? Use your head. You're on Earth, there's no cure for that. Sam Beckett wrote that in Endgame. We're not cured, regardless of what our de facto overlords think. It's ironic that the only thing we managed to export culturally onto another planet is a Silicon Valley brand of Protestantism.
そりゃ無理よな。
Sorry for rambling. Anyway, I called into the program to share some Earth sounds I captured. I'm sure listeners of RNFM who suffer from nostalgia like me will appreciate them. In the meditation dome, we can listen to the light sounds of the Tuscan country, the olive grove shores of Kefalonia, the blue Danube below the Schwarzwald. I went to the meditation dome a few times, but just like yoga, I can't stand it. Simply, I don't miss nature at all.
全然届かなかった。
I was never a nature person, never really liked hiking or camping. I meant the city. This whole predicament started because we mixed with wilderness in the first place. This bullshit about Mother Nature sugarcoated the fact that maybe we were supposed to keep a sharp boundary between ourselves and the wild. And now, we're demoted from Earthling to miserable Martian status. So at the end of every day, or I mean soul, I escape into texts I brought along. I drink that horrid canteen coffee and listen to urban sounds I recorded 15 years ago, mostly in New York and London. Here are some of my favorite sounds. Here's the sound of my bicycle rolling down the street.
その時僕はパイロットに見られてしまった。あの生き物側のセリフ。 これは
And the sound of the bustling city in the morning, a call and response of cars and birds.
これは一発じゃ絶対いかねえだろと思ったら強すぎた。
And the giggling of my kids in Washington Square as a group of street performers play the boombox and do tricks.
寄せてはあえ、下があるの？あ、またいる子供みたいなの。おう。あれ？そこはダメ？ おうっていつものんびりゴルフしながら追いかけんだね。え？どういうこと？あ、そこは跳ね返る。くそ。くそ！イライラしちゃダメだ、このゲーム。よし。よし。長えぞ、このエスカレーター。
A kettle going off and the smell of Turkish coffee.
End of the course.
And for some reason, I'm obsessed with the sound of the New York MTA.
愛しき故郷。ダッシュしたい。ダッシュ、ダッシュ。なんかでっけえ鹿いる。もしかしてこれで終わりか？あとは寄り込みかな。 これで終わりなのか。まあね。なるほど。まあ1000円のゲームだしね。ボリューム的にはこのぐらいか。この先はちょっとやった人が見るべきってことにするか。お疲れ様でした。